I have a studio at Johnson Art Studio, which I was having trouble getting to because of my residency at the Keys Public Library. So I kind of was very scattered. And but having the space at Rhizome with childcare made it possible for me to be there. And it opened up, and I had just moved at that time, so I was really scattered. And it was like a breath of fresh air to have that space, and it allowed me to bring back printmaking into my life, which I like really missed. And yeah, I made a shit ton of prints. And then I started printing on fabric, on these Ethiopian scarves, which now I've been using a lot in my practice through performance and also just prints. And I recently just sold one, actually. And then those scarves are actually up at Eaton right now too in the exhibit. But yeah, that was really cool for me that I was able just to have like a new space, was able to like bring this back into my life. Yeah. And I got a commission out of the Open Studio Day. A friend of mine, Jamil, came through, and he saw one of the prints and was like, I want this on my wall. I was like, okay, let's talk. And yeah, so.
I guess talking about space and the availability of space was probably one of the things I got out of the residency. I was also in the process of moving, so I had lost the studio I had for 8 or 9 years. And having that sort of swing time at Rhizome, in between moving and in between not having a studio, was amazing. It did force me to try to work in a new way. I mean, I'd already been floundering around trying to figure out what the next cycle of my work will be like. I guess after having a kid, becoming a parent. And that time at Rhizome with you all was that opportunity to sort of keep working on it. And having that community around me, always looking and commenting, was helpful. So I think that's one of the things I took away out of me.
Well, I think it was important to be at Rhizome in particular for the first Artist Mother Studio, because Rhizome is like a very experimental and open space. And I had in my head, I guess, and I think because you have less time when you're especially a new parent, so I thought, okay, I gotta go to this residency and produce something and make something because this is precious time. And folks there were like, you know, experience what's happening, you know, there's gonna be a music show downstairs, or, you know, just kind of be here. And they said that enough to me that I finally got it. And so sometimes like we would just like sit around and talk and know that that was okay, because that's one of those times that you lose, you know, the ability to sort of daydream or like walk down the road without having to worry about your kid running into traffic. Like you don't have any like downtime ever. And so having downtime and recognizing and remembering that is a valuable part of a practice and of a life was very valuable to me.
Thank you. So we had kind of touched on this question a little bit last night. So in her 2000 book, Patricia Hill Collins, The Black Feminist Thought, she explores the notion that Black women see the unpaid work that they do for their families more as a form of resistance to oppression than as a form of exploitation by men. And I wanted to apply this concept more broadly to all mothers on the panel. In what ways have you experienced mother work as a means of resistance? And how is the Artist Mother Studio a part of that?
We're all raising, the three of us all have sons. So I think that possibly informs the way we think about that, especially in our current climate, and just the past month of things that have happened. I think it has occurred to all of us, how do we not raise Brett Kavanaugh? You don't have to say his name again. How do we not produce that person? And question, even though that hadn't occurred to us back then. I think we were still thinking about how do we raise sons who will grow up to be feminists, who will appreciate and just have it ingrained in them that all people deserve to be themselves in an equal way and deserve justice. So I think that's one thing I think about a lot in my mother work. I don't have an answer, but the fact that I was around people exploring that also and thinking about it, talking about it a lot is really helpful.
Well, yeah, so when I had my son, this father, Ashanti, in Massachusetts, I forgot his wife's name, but anyways, he's a former Black Panther Party member, and he had said to me, like, you know, having a child is a revolutionary act. You don't have to, like, be out in the streets protesting, and, like, you just raising him in a very open lifestyle, alone, well, kind of like what you're saying. It's like that. So I've kind of carried that, and, you know, like the fact that my son is mostly around artists, and mostly around all kinds of people. You know, we used to be vegan, which I can't believe I did that for like the first 3 years of his life, but that was a form of resistance for me. And I don't know, I was a doula, specifically supporting Black mothers in hospitals, even though my form of resistance was having a home birth, a water birth with 2 midwives, a doula, birth assistants, because I was very clear about, and you know, for myself, I'm not projecting onto other people, but I was very clear about like my Black body will not be in a hospital giving birth. So, but I've supported Black women in those settings, which that's a whole other conversation of what I witnessed those women faced, and their babies being like born into racism, which was wild. But yeah.
I think for me, motherhood like was the thing that like had me like take that hard left turn, like concepts that I like knew about, I was familiar with and believed in. When you have like seeing my son and like realizing like all this shit is gonna go on to him too, was the moment when I was like, no, I can't participate. Like I have to find ways of resisting in my mothering for his sake. But I also feel like it's benefited me too, and like it's forced me to educate myself on a lot of things that were not taught and things that I don't experience. And just I want to raise him to be aware of the things we're not taught, and that so that he can be an ally and be a person that will resist himself.
It's interesting that all 3 of you talk about teaching the resistance or leaving a legacy of the resistance. And I have a thought on that. Later on, we're going to talk about normative motherhood, but when we think about resistance and that motherhood itself is a revolution, in my one of my personal lived experiences was, you know, following the inauguration. I didn't participate in the Women's March in DC. I was 8.5 months pregnant, and my older child was, you know, 2 and wild, and I got a lot of criticism about, you know, you're an activist, you're a feminist, how could you sit the march out? My stomach was like out to here, people were asking me that. And I just, I wanted to ask about, do you feel any kind of judgment or a sense of like normative resistance that you're like expected to live up to as a mother? Has the resistance become, you know, the
talking about. I know that me also deciding to like be a full-time artist was an act of resistance. So in that, like, I was very aware that like my son is watching me, and he needs to see me doing what I want to do, and he needs to also see, he needs to grow up watching a woman like make the decision to do what she wants to do, to make it sustainable, which I'm still working on, but like, and to be successful at it. But to what you're saying, yeah, like I've had people say crazy shit to me for making this choice, you know, like, and people are now starting to come around because it looks like I'm, you know, certain things are like falling into place, and
there's a normative look of success.
Yeah. So now I'm getting, you know, those who threw me shade before are now kind of like, oh, hey girl, look at you, you're doing it. Anyways, but, you know, I mean, I remember, and this is being recorded or whatever. I think when my son was like 2, so my son's father's a musician. He's a successful musician. But I'm a single parent, you know. Most people who know, like, he's not really around. So, but, you know, he is supportive. But I'll never forget, he said this to me, I think when son and I was 1 or 2, he was like, we both can't do this. Like, we both can't pursue this. Because at that time, he still was kind of like up and coming, and I remember, like, that kind of shit is like fuel for me. I was like, oh, bet. Like, I can't do this. Watch me, like, and you know, like I've been stumbling through it, you know, but yeah, I don't know, you know, and I've been told that you know, a friend in conversation who doesn't have a child, she said to me, she basically called me selfish, the decision of like being a single mom and trying to be this full-time parent, so. You know, I don't know. Today I feel okay with the decision I've made. Other days I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? This is insane. I just want to art away. But today I'm good. Whatever. There's nothing else I want to do. So.
Going back to the idea of normative resistance, maybe it's okay if resistance is normative. I mean, if that's our project here in our mother work, to raise the next generation and make them hopefully better and more alive to each other than we were, than our parents were, then maybe it should be normative. Does that make it stale and not flexible? Perhaps.
Yeah. No, I meant like, you know, I had if motherhood is itself a revolution. I'm raising 2, at the moment, young girls. Is that not enough?
Yeah, I mean, by your example,
Yeah.
that kind of is.
So I want to explore, we talked a little bit previously about, sorry, when I say previously, we met last night in preparation, showing how the sausage is made. I wanted to hear more about your experiences of this fantasy of normative motherhood, as Patricia Hill Collins calls it, that we live in U.S. society, and your lived experiences of that. So we had. We were talking about perceived age and ageism. We were talking about across racial lines, across class lines, education.
I mean, this might be a little bit going around your question, but I'm now remembering our conversation last night about This, I mean, sorry, I'm kind of dodging your question. This goes back to just like how to resist in the mother work, and I'm remembering our conversations about like just the oppression of gender on our kids, and you know, I had small bad experiences with that on my own growing up. I mean, I was a tomboy, and I felt like I was not allowed to be a certain way. You know, I had to be decidedly not feminine, whatever that means at some point, and you know, but it was whatever it was. But then now with my son Quincy, you know, to just see how oppressive gendering is, it's anything that you feel and experience for yourself when you see it in this like innocent new person that doesn't have all of the biases and the judgment and the just bullshit. It's really difficult, and I become very, very sensitive to that. And right now it's small things like, you know, he can wear whatever he wants to wear. And we're not going to say anything about it, and he's, you know, he can be who he wants to be, whatever that, you know, turns out to be. And I think it is, I mean, it's different than the other children that he's around. And right now I think it's okay. He's not super, I mean, he can talk, but he's not at that age yet where the kids are talking to each other and telling each other like what's allowed and what's not allowed. Yeah.
So my son is almost 5, and I was living in DC for almost all that time in Capitol Hill, and we spent a lot of time in parks. And as one does, one has a lot of conversations with any of the other adults who are present. Adults talk to. And it was always awkward. There's an assumption if you're at a park with a young child that you are nanny or a stay-at-home mom. I sometimes was thought of as a nanny because my son is biracial and he doesn't look like me exactly. That didn't happen too often, probably because I'm white. The other thing that is weird is when somebody asks, "What did you do?" As in I wasn't doing it now, and I would say, "I'm an artist." Super awkward. It's such a conversation killer. And that's so sad. Like, we all have so much to offer each other, and it doesn't always have to be about what we did do or didn't do, what we're doing now. I mean, it's all interesting, and I don't know. I just remember feeling like, oh man, they're gonna ask me that question. So maybe that's one experience I had with that, feeling uncomfortable about what those assumptions are.
Oh yeah, if you want to jump in.
Well, and I'm also calling on our current cohort of artist mothers, if you have, you know, we were there for the conversation last night.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that question with my mother as well. I mean, I think that that's something that we all kind of bump up against every time we're walking down the street with our children. I've also been mistaken for the nanny a lot. My kids are blonde. I love Chinese. It's just that's something that happens. Another thing that I think is a big thing about the concept of normative motherhood. I was noticing, like, some of your slides, you seem to have taken them from like any images, like these normative ideas of what motherhood is, which is everybody is smiling and really clean, and they're washing like a squash in the sink or whatever. Right? They're taking a selfie together like really perfectly, and like I have taken selfies with my children. I think I've washed like a vegetable with my kid. That's probably happened, but it's like the tiniest minority of my actual experience with my kids. And there was this one instance recently at the Artist Mother Studio when you had this photographer come over and take images of us in the studio. And one thing that I thought was really wonderful was that she took photos of the kids who were with the caretaker, with Danny, playing and having like a great time, and then she came over and took images of us working in our studios, and she never expected us to, you know, okay, now go over and like hold your child and show that you're doing normative motherhood by being with your child physically. taking a photo of me behind a curtain, hiding from my 2-year-old so that she doesn't see me and doesn't scream while I can paint. That is motherhood, but that's not the normative idea of it.
I mean, that really, I know, like something that you shared last night, like the normative motherhood, your experiences of like, if you're not with your kid, it's like, well, do you miss your kid? Where's your kid? And I don't know if you want to share that story of yours.
Yeah, so working in museums, and at the time that I became pregnant with my first, I just kind of happened to fall into a good career moment, and I had the year that she was born, I was scheduled to speak across the country and abroad. I believe it was 8 trips the year that she was born, and I didn't cancel a single one. And I got a lot of judgment and criticism and curiosity about that. Lorelai is doing well. She just had her 3rd birthday. She's singing and dancing and thriving. My husband was home with her the time that I was away, but every time I was away, I was just sort of bombarded with these questions about how could you leave your child at home? Don't you miss her? Don't you ache? And those are very personal questions to ask an introverted person, to ask a stranger, and it's not something that I want to be sharing with other strangers in a professional setting. And I was kind of really, that was one of the moments of this sort of understanding people don't see me as a normative mother. That was one of the first realizations that I had. But I wanted to go back to something that you had said. So at the park, people ask, what do you do? What did you do? And I don't know where I read it, like BuzzFeed or some trash sheet, whatever. Sorry if you work for BuzzFeed, I do love BuzzFeed, I take all the quizzes. But there was this, I read this thing years ago about like, what are the, across the major metropolitan cities in the country, what are the ways that people introduce themselves? And in DC, it's always, hi, what's your name, what do you do? That's a culturally specific thing that we do here. And we'll bump around these different themes, but last night we got into talking about how capitalism fits into this, how gentrification fits into mother work, and specifically the culturally specific experience of gentrification in this city. So I wanted to see if we can maybe get back to that conversation. If we remember what we're talking about. So like daycare costs, all of it.
Yeah, well, being an artist, daycare is not really feasible.
Right.
So how do you figure out how to put your practice, fit your childcare? Let's say it like that. Fit your childcare in around your practice. I fit my childcare in around my practice. Being that time, I wish I had made more liberal use of the sling. That would have been an excellent way to fit childcare in around a practice, and I'm really happy that there are images of Amy doing that. I also did some residencies abroad. I should have done more of that. I think I've gotten off topic.
No, it's all about.
Yeah, does anybody else have anything? Yeah.
I think it's beyond the art world. It's just like, we don't include children in our daily lives in general. And it's because we have to work, and we can't be unproductive. We have to work. No one can interrupt us. We're working. And I think across the board, it's unhealthy for everybody involved. We're talking a lot about the burden of children, but there's also such a joy that, like, I was a nanny provided childcare for a long time before I had my son, and it's like, because those are some of my favorite people to be around, are children, and you don't see children as fully realized individuals.
We don't see them as work either.
Yeah,
That's why work and childcare is separate.
yeah, and I just think that needs to change everywhere, but also, yeah, specifically in my practice and in the art world, it's just, I don't know, I've slept for 4 hours last night, I'm sorry.
At the same time, it feels like, to me, as going through this experience, it is about like, being an artist is one of those places where you can bring those things together, and fit them around each other, and you can use all the force of your creativity to do that, and it's almost like that's what art is for, is to figure out these huge problems that everybody else out there is experiencing too. Like, art is one of the places to really like get into the meat of it and figure out how you work and parent at the same time.
Sure. So I've been going back and forth with whether or not I want to live in DC, just because of how expensive the city is. And I recently was in Pittsburgh for a show, and seeing how free the artists are because of how much less it is to live out there, and how much more money there is also for artists because of all of the like foundations out there. But and specifically, I met Alicia Worsley, who's a mother and an artist out there, and she lived in New York for 15 years and decided to go back to Pittsburgh once she had kids for that reason, because like the cost of living is lower, and now like she's doing really well, like really, really well. And she was before, but now even more so. So basically, like, yeah, I find myself in situations where most of the circles that I'm in when it relates to my son in school are like a bunch of parents. I'm the only single mom, so it's 2-parent families that have really well-paying jobs. No one's an artist. So I'm always like negotiating in my head. Oh, well, that's not true because Freddie's a trumpet player. But you know, they always want to go eat out after the playground. They always want to, you know, this one group of moms that I'm close with, they wanted to get drinks at, I think, Primrose or whatever. And I have to like, you know, 90% of the time I'm like, no, I can't do this because I'm on like a really tight ass budget. And but it's, I don't know, it's a shitty feeling for the most part to be around that and realize like I can't participate, and or my son can't participate because I can't afford to. And I mean, luckily, like I do have artist friends, so that like so being in those circles are they can understand that. But since my son is 8, like I kind of was one of the first people that I knew to have a kid at 25, and an artist. Like now people are starting to have children, but I kind of felt really alone back then. And all of my friends were young artists who, or most of them, you know, who, aside from like seeing like Margaret or Martha, who has adult children, but for me, their lives were a reach at the time, you know, so, I don't know. Yeah, it was definitely a very lonely experience until meeting Nakia Brown, who's a photographer, and at the time she also was a single mom, so I was like, oh shit, somebody who kind of understands these different dynamics I'm having to deal with. But yeah, it's weird being in DC, but when I said last night, like I read somewhere it has the highest median income in the country right now. And yeah, I'm around those parents a lot and at the playground, and you know, and they don't understand what it means to be an artist. They think you have all this time, and I'm like, actually, you are done by 5 o'clock. I'm literally working 24/7. You know, like if I'm not in the studio at home, I'm in the studio because I'm trying to work on a proposal or I'm doing research for my next project. You know, like it never turns off. which you guys can understand, but yeah.
Being here in this town, being an artist is already not normative.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you perfectly brought us into one of the major themes that we were discussing, which was isolation and the loneliness of mother work, and how that lived experience affects your work as an artist. How your work as an artist affects your mother work. We've kind of been talking around the idea that, in a capitalist society, we compartmentalize ourselves, or we're looked at to compartmentalize ourselves, and mother work is over here, artist work is over here, and the traumatic effects of that. You want to both share a little bit more about your experiences and why you brought up isolation as one of the main themes of what came out of the studio, or the understanding of the community that you built made you realize other than what you are experiencing is this isolation.
Yeah, I mean, that one slide, 9% of women reported being lonely. Like, it's so real. It's so real. And I'm very extroverted. And it was like the first 6 weeks, I think, of being home. My husband and I talked about we're going to co-parent, we're going to do this together. And then it's like, I chose to breastfeed. And so it's like that I'm like at home alone. Like, I'm like, wait a minute. How did this get like this? And I feel like I had no other choice but to sort of like forge things because I just need like social stimulation so much. But we're not trained to be in community anymore, I don't think. I don't think it naturally, like our society's set up for that. And so we have to work against that to forge the community that we need to support us in this whole other thing that we're doing, like we have to make the community to get to the support that we need. And yeah, I think it's unhealthy, and I think it's, hopefully this project can just show other people, like just get a couple people together, just do it, whatever, however you can, and talk about it more too. I don't hear 90% of mothers that I know talking about this, and it's because it's not on them. It's like it's not okay to talk about it.
Yeah. And because when we talk about mothers, we want to talk about the labor force.
I also feel like if people have thoughts and want to jump in, we can like start passing the mic around too, and like kind of make it a discussion as well. Just raise your hand.
It would be so interesting. I'm loud. I don't know. I just think it would be so. You guys all have such small kids. Like my kids are teenagers, and I was just sitting here thinking, like you were talking about community and how the community is kind of being diminished, right? And I just think, I passed a school bus the other day, and all the kids had their earbuds on. So they're all sitting there isolating themselves. Parents, you see parents, and I'm just so grateful I didn't have this ability to hand my kid the cell phone for pure entertainment rather than interacting with what they're seeing around them in a grocery store, out at a playground, just everywhere. It's just there's so many easy ways to give our kids the ability to just isolate themselves. And I am just so fearful of what's going to happen in the world as these kids don't know how to navigate community. They don't know how to navigate relationships. And so I just would love to see this panel come back in 10 years and talk about, oh, that's so interesting. Now here's, because it's important to you guys, right? And it's important for so many people, obviously, but just because it's in your brains. So, how is that going to manifest itself in 10 years? Anyway, so I just, that community piece is scary to me, what I see happening, and the isolation that we're allowing our children to have. I have 3 teenagers. They all sit and, do their own thing in their own space all the time. So I'm trying to change it, but the constant, fight back is so exhausting that it's like,
know a family and they were trying to keep their kids away from technology and cell phones, but then their child ended up being isolated from his group of kids, his friends, because he wasn't on the text message chain or whatever, you know?
Right. So we have to teach, it's up to us to kind of teach that balance. And how do you teach it? I mean, it's also brand new.
Can I say something
Yeah,
about that?
please.
That we all know that we're teaching by example, and so that's one A, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But B, by being artists and being creative and being involved in ideas and conversations and dialogue and a network of other creative people, that is the most bold way.
Yeah.
I mean, my son got rid of his smartphone. He's 17.
Oh, wow.
I think they might teach us.
I mean, it's not like I'm a good example, right? This is in my hand right now. But there's something about performing connections that I think is so powerful. And I mean, I think like your kids are teaching one another, and so you have a whole other problem, right? Because they're like doing this, yeah. And so,
But my 17-year-old just gave up all her social media, which my 15-year-old has no interest in doing, but maybe when she's 17. Yeah, but yes, you're right, they do all.
I mean,
They want their peers.
yeah. And I had the same problem when my kid was really little, that we had like no screen time, no any of that stuff, and he was totally isolated once he started school. Like he had none of the language, he didn't understand what the other kids were talking about. So there is that thing, there's that weird balance that needs to be struck. But I do think as artists, I also want to just say that as artists, like the isolation that we're talking about with parenting is so real, and it's real for every parent, to greater or lesser degrees. But as artists, we have advantage because we connect around these forces that are hard to even articulate. We have a passion around our work that other people may not be as lucky to have. I mean, I think people in the arts generally are very passionate about that, and of course that exists in other fields also, but just by the mere fact that we've chosen this very difficult path, I think says something about our intentionality around our work, and so that we have that in addition to our passion around parenting. So I don't know, I see it as a real advantage, even though it's not easy.
Well, and can I just on like the balance? I'm glad you said the balance between technology, because I often would go like kind of along that, like, oh, we don't want any of it, blah. But like at the same time, when you are like trapped in your house with an infant, you know, it's your connection. And like Tyra's project, Artmont project, I mean, like that's a very powerful thing for people to be able to connect that way. But so like the balance of both, I guess.
I'm not as good at being loud. But one thing that I thought can also tie into this is yesterday I had a conversation about isolation and how that ties into like a deeper thread in just American Western civilization of individualism, everyone feeling as if they have to be or they are the hero of their own story. And so I wonder if people were to ask that question to just the general population at large, how many people would say they were lonely? It wouldn't be as high as 90%, but it might be like 80, you know? So I think that that's one thing that like everyone is fighting against that, and as a mother and as an artist, community just becomes so much more vital that I think that we're aware of it. And so I agree with Lynn, it's like it is something of, at least we are aware of that, and then we can create communities like we've created here, and fight against that thing that is actually a burden on everybody in Western society.
Yes. I probably need a microphone. Thank you. I just want to say thank you so much. It's been great to hear everyone's comments, and it's very inspiring to be here. I guess I've been sitting here thinking, like, I've had a really hard time with isolation. I have a 15-month-old, and I had to sacrifice my students studio space in order to afford some part-time daycare because I was just feeling completely burnt out. And so I was just curious, like, other people's experiences with kind of mom burnout. And then, like, I mean, because it's hard for me to even, like, just take care of myself sometimes. So, and let alone get into the creative space. So I'm just curious what other people are doing to kind of deal with that.
Do you mean mom burnout, like you're just like with her so much and you just need your own space?
Yeah, because I mean, I'm very impressed that you guys have incorporated kids into your art practice. I don't know, I just needed, like you were saying, downtime. So I don't know if that's the question or what, but I just was sitting here thinking about that.
I think that gets easier as they get older. It's such a shitty answer. But it does, and you're like almost to the point where you can glance down at a sketchbook for a moment. When that happens, that's so liberating. I don't have to be paying attention at every moment. So it will come, and then just, I guess, the roping in other people that are in your community, whomever they are, the community in your house, the community in your extended family. I think because, I guess like we've been saying, because both artwork and other work are not productive in a capitalist system, because they are communal, the needs to do both and the needs to step away from both so that you can be better, I think are not recognized, and probably the people around us, it's very hard to ask for help, but the people around us are usually willing to give us that space so that we can be better at both.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, to reiterate,
like broad experience with that, I feel like.
yeah, I have a lot of different, communities that come through for me. But just to reiterate what you said before, yeah, the first 3 years, it's like, you just have to accept it. I don't know, like, yeah, it's shitty, but it's something you do, like, the first 3 years are so hard, specifically on the mother, too. But, yeah, then you start to, like, they get older, and you're like, ooh, I can breathe a little bit more, and, you know, now, like, last night we were talking about how you were saying when being around Quincy, you forgot what it's like about to be around a toddler. Like, that happens to me now, too, where if I'm in a playground and a parent's like, I gotta go run to the bathroom, can you watch my 2-year-old? I'm like, sure. And literally within seconds, I forget I'm watching. Because I'm laying around. Right? Like, I'm like back to just like, oh, talking to other parents, like, laying out in the sun, and then I'm like, oh my god, I'm on the first. And it's a 2-year-old, I'm supposed to, anyway. Yeah. But as far as the burnout is real, and I think that's across the board, obviously, for all parents. Again, I think I shouldn't say more mothers, but typically. But you have Red Dirt as a community. I mean, they're in my community, even though I don't have a studio space there, I've never had one, but they're like, I'm an honorary Red Dirt member for years. I don't know, people just come through for you. I remember reading in Toni Morrison's Sula in the prologue where she was just talking about her life as a mother and being around other writers who were mothers, and how they would just, like, one of them would just show up at the house with groceries, or another one would just come through and be like, you know, tell her, like, go upstairs, go write that, whatever, how many pages I got the kids this morning for you, you know. That is like, those are jewels, especially when you don't have to coordinate, because I think that's where I get stuck, when I have to coordinate, like, who's gonna watch who and how, and I gotta drop you off where, and I mean, right now, Adrian, Jordan's partner, last time we were texting, I think I mentioned today, I was like, I don't know how the hell I'm gonna, like, pull off being at this conference, then performing at an art fair later, and Sunday has a soccer game, was invited to a Halloween party, and a birthday like, I can't. Like, you know, it's like, and Adrian was just like, I can take him until 2:30, and I can drop him off at the conference for you when you know, she has to go do her thing. And I was just like, yay, okay. Like, that was really easy.
But I feel like it's like you have to learn, you have to like exercise that muscle of asking. Like,
oh, you do. Yeah.
It's uncomfortable and it feels
Totally.
weird, but you have to ask people.
Definitely.
I think we also have to change our expectations of the way that we expect to be treated. I try to do this thing now where I walk into a room and I expect to be treated as if I have white male privilege, and I just try to ooze that energy. But I've worked, and I, seriously speaking, and I know museum work is not translatable to being a studio artist. I have regular hours, but I work in programming too, so I have weekends, and I have evenings, and I have mornings. I do a lot, but I refuse to let myself be compartmentalized anymore. I worked at a museum that really thought they could compartmentalize me, and that my mother work was not a part of who I am, that was not part of who they hired when they hired me. And I ended up leaving there, and since then, I try my best not to allow that to be an expectation that you can sort of compartmentalize me, and that I am, when I'm at the office, I'm just the worker Kayleigh, and the mother Kayleigh is not attached to me. And I think that we need to sort of draw the line in the sand in the way that we are going to be treated. And that will eventually start to change the communities around us.
I was just gonna tell you, I've learned my lessons in making the mistake of not being open to help and not figuring out how to be in like your shoes. You just gotta tough it out, blah blah blah. It's good to ask for help. It's important to do that.
I just also want to, I think that the reason why we're so bad at that muscle is because that muscle is against those normative ideas of what motherhood should be. I think there's a pretty famous study that maybe a few of you have heard where people were asked to give a survey and told there's a baby or a toddler left in a car for 15 minutes. And some people were told, right, people heard this, the mother left to do some work, and others were told the mother left to meet a lover. And how in danger is the baby? And the baby was considered to be more in danger when the mother was doing work. So it falls into it's an entire society that just if it's the baby, they thought the baby was more likely to die because so that's just something that we're always fighting against, and I think it's helpful to acknowledge that that's there. Go ahead.
Hi. Thank you all for the generosity of your words, and just the conversation has been really heartening. I've been sitting here thinking about a talk I went to a few weeks ago at a middle school gave about Ruth Masawa's work at the town. She is an artist mother, she was an artist mother, and there are these wonderful photographs of Masawa making her sculptures in her living room with her children around her, and how you're never going to see a Jackson Pollock, with a child, or you're never going to see these kind of photographs with this kind of expectation of the artist as it performs its gender in this way. And all of you have talked about the ways in which having children has sort of become incorporated into your workspace, your work time, kinds of work you make, you don't, whatever. But I'm also thinking about the tension of that incorporation, and that incorporating motherhood into one's practice, professional, artistic, or otherwise, and the tension involved in women being flexible and having to incorporate no matter what the situations are, no matter what the obstacles or difficulties are. I'm just wondering if that is something that you guys think about individually as artists in terms of like the tension involved in sort of absorbing the obstacles that are presented to you as mothers as part of the work, and also the things that you wish that you needed, and how the residency might have been able to be a place to explore that, what you need definitely, what you have to be more flexible with, you know, your practice and your work together now. I'm just thinking.
I feel like, I hope this is answering your question, but one of the changes in like my practice is like the chunk, like I was still getting chunks of time, like they were shorter, or they were like in the morning. I mean, I was used to staying up until 3 in my studio, can't do that anymore, and like feeling like, you know, my husband and I worked out a schedule where I had studio time, but it was like, you know, it was from like 10 to 2, and to hear like these fragments, and for me, like I always felt very overwhelmed if I knew like, okay, in an hour I have to leave, like I couldn't, it's hard, and so we tried to like work around that a little bit and have like, okay, each day one of us gets like a day where we don't have to check in. And for me too, it's also like checking in, like, can I just know that I can turn it off for like however much time.
And then I'm thinking about that, you know, I have a friend who just had triplets. She's a painter, and now she makes collages.
Yeah.
Because there's like a fastness involved.
Yeah.
She still feels like very, very connected to her painting.
Yeah.
But it's also this like time limit and sort of now. It's been this like incredibly like open, exciting moment for her. I mean, I think she would love to, you know, get back to that whole painting, but it's
Right.
that happens later. So
Well, that I was thinking about Robin when you were talking too, because I know you make large oil paintings, and you know, maybe for like, especially the first 3 years, like the practice time has changed, and maybe that's not like just a tax. Maybe that's like an opportunity to reframe that.
Yes. I really just want to agree that maybe we should, I think trying to decide if what I want to say is like covert or patriarchy. But maybe it's a rich moment to give yourself permission to be on residency. I love that word because it implies total freedom as an artist. And so maybe those hard years where you don't have a lot of time and you do have to be flexible about what work means and what can constitute work, maybe that can be a rich time of exploration. But again, am I just buying into ideas of patriarchy that I should value my motherhood and my mother's work more than my artwork? I'm not sure. Anybody have thoughts about that?
I've recently started doing nap time studio practice, and my daughter is 16 months old, and when she goes down for her one nap, I think it's really helped me to focus my ideas where I'm like, okay, I have an hour to an hour and a half, probably, let's hope. And I made a decision really quickly about what that time is going to be. You know, before we have, I read this quote somewhere about, you know, you can, before or after, when you don't have small children, possibly, you can create the way that a cow grazes, and you can do a little bit here and a little bit there. But in this time, I feel like it's very focused.
I think these like smaller, like little bite-sized chunks of like finding your way to make your work is really awesome, and I love that, and I've had to do that some too, but I normally make large work, and I felt like, I have to just make tiny things now because that's all the time I have to do, and I kind of like, you were saying, I was like, no, this is a challenge, and so I like got really big, but then like I did have to make changes like on stretched canvas instead of, and I just got like, I had to buy cheaper materials and like painting on drop cloth instead of canvas that's stretched and nice, and because I was like, no, something symbolically for me, like shrinking, not that smaller work, you know, I'm not trying to make a value judgment there, but like for me in my practice, shrinking my practice felt conceptually wrong, and like that's what I had to do, is just like be smaller, but I wanted to be bigger.
Yeah, for me this year this year I published twice, and I haven't written since Lorelai was one of my oldest, so I haven't written for years. I didn't write during much of my pregnancy either, so probably close to 4 years. And I've been writing something that's still unfinished that will come in April, and I'm going to shoot for April of next year to be done with it. But yeah, I have to do this like grazing, for this longer piece, I have to do this like grazing approach to get it, to just get it out of my head. And then the chunking, like the smaller pieces, like that live balls piece, I can't believe they published it. It was just like a rage text. The Glenstone piece was basically just a rage text. Like that was just like something that I could do in the moment while I was at that press preview, really, really fast. And it just kind of came. But I think that, there's different ways.
I was sitting here also thinking about nap time, but I thought I was a little too in the weeds, but I'm going to add on to that. It depends on your process and how you work, how you can utilize nap time, and what really works for me is I need to come up with ideas when nothing is happening. Like nobody needs me, I don't have to clean, blah, blah, blah. So if I get a moment like that, like an idea comes to me, I take a note in Evernote on my smartphone. So then when nap time comes, I can look at the list and I know what I can work on, because nap time hits and I'm just like catatonic for a half an hour at least. So it's like if I have something to consult, that helps. So just if that works for anybody else. And I also wanted to say this panel has been so inspirational. I have a friend who's not here who I invited who's a textile artist, and we're always trying to get together like when we have like 3 hours when we don't have the kids. And I'm gonna tell her, no, let's just get together with the kids every week. If something comes of it, sure. If not, you know, we can just talk about art. Talk about what we're gonna do. So thank you so much.
I just wanted to say, I wanted to ask you, Amy, because I've known you since the first iteration of the project over at Rhizome, and there you were participating as an artist, and it seemed like this time around you pulled yourself out of being the artist, so now you are the person who put this whole project together, who's put this with a lot of support, put this event together, and how's that been for your art practice? So, here you are doing this stuff for all these other people, and how are you doing, the artist you?
Thanks, Gail, that's sweet. I'm doing well. It's encouraging, I mean, being together, right? So like, it's okay, for me, especially as an extrovert, I'm actually better with this most of the time than like being alone in my studio painting. I painted a big mural over at WPA that you'll see later, and I think I'm trying to just continue to like blur those lines between like the different things that I do like in my practice. And I did an incubator program with Transformer a couple of years ago, and the theme was social practice. And I was like, I'm not a social practice artist, I'm a painter, but I just did it because why not? And I think that planted the seed that like got me to this, where like this is my practice right now, and making connections and trying to just like make community with other people feels like the art that I'm working on right now. And then but I still do, I mean, my husband is so supportive, and I have a very strong community of people, Quincy's uncle and his girlfriend, Michelle, not Quincy's girlfriend. having to go first child, watch Quincy all the time for us. I mean, there's like my parents watch him. There's a lot of people that like pitch in. So I do still get to go to my studio for like, a couple hours a week, and make big giant things. But like it's all, I'm trying to let it all like inform each other.
Sorry. Amy has been like the angel. I'm sorry. I mean, we all owe Amy now, so we're gonna find a way to get it back.
You can give me art.
Yeah.
Heading towards lunchtime. Okay, it might be eating time.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I just can't get rid of what Robin said, because it's true, like the first 3 years are the worst, and then it's like, I've heard it gets a lot better, but then you kind of think it's not like a artist, you're like, then why would you have a second one? That's like 6 years of your life, right, or 4 or whatever. And why would you ever have a third? And then you're just like, do I have to give up like that chunk of my life because the first 3 years are the worst? And I think it's about reiterating. I'm starting to think it's like society's fault or society's change. So like, so meaning like if I have to like give up stuff because I have a child, like I want to make sure that like everybody in my household needs to give up stuff because of my child. And like so reading that quote about, oh yeah, those are the artists whose children were called men. I think I really like did believe that when my first child was born, but my second one I'm like, no, like the men in my life are like, my husband's gonna have to give up stuff for my kid. Does that make sense? I don't know. That helps with my burnout. So I just wanted to put that out there.
That's a perfect transition because I would like to leave us with, I'm going to bastardize this quote because I forgot to write it down, but one last word from Patricia Hill Collins when she says, in mother work is more than what we're doing as individual mothers for our individual children. We are the creators and sustainers of our culture at large. And it is through child rearing that culture continues to exist. So I think that we need to take more of a stand for ourselves. And we are the culture keepers and we are the cultural legacy. And we need to make the demands that we need to thrive. And that includes our practice and our livelihood.
Thank you, Kayleigh.
Thank you. We will now have lunch. It's on the back tables. And we'll have China Martin start her talk at 1:15. And feel free to check on your kids if you have kids over at WPA.